Hey everybody, welcome back to Video Game Esoterica and our continuing series where we rank the Sonic the Hedgehog 3D and 2D games from the 5th best to the 1st best. As always, we've done a very scientific rundown of all these games, taking into account multiple factors so that we can be as objective as humanly possible, and that entire review system is down to my opinion. You probably will not agree with most of my picks, maybe you'll agree with all of them, who knows. What we're taking a look at today is Sonic Generations, and we're playing it on the Xbox 360. And I put this at number 5, even though it is quite a good game, and I will explain later. But this definitely is an awesome experience as far as Sonic the Hedgehog games are concerned. This is one of the better games for 3D Sonic from Sonic Team, because if you know anything about them, if you play the Sonic games, the modern games, you know that Sonic Team seems to either be able to make an absolute gem of a game, something like this, some of the other games are going to be showing, or they put out absolute hot dumpster fire garbage, something like Sonic 06. So when you have to rank a top 5, it's really easy to eliminate some of the games from that ranking. And when Sonic Generations came out, I really did enjoy it. I know I'm putting it at number 5, but it is an awesome game. It is quite cheap to buy now, so if you haven't played it and experienced it, I absolutely recommend that you go ahead and do so. It's colorful, it's vibrant, the soundtrack is awesome, a lot of the levels are really incredible to play. But the reason I'm putting this at number 5 is that for me, the biggest issue with Sonic Generations is it really doesn't know what it wants to do and what it wants to be. Is it a 3D Sonic game? Is it a 2D Sonic game? Is it an amalgam of both? Sega tries to be everything to everybody. They try to satisfy every single fan desire with the releases. And while the 2D levels in this game are fun, it really kind of slows down the momentum of what is a really fast-paced 3D game, that really good 3D Sonic gameplay that you're craving if you're looking for a 3D Sonic game in general. And I think that's what my issue with it is the pacing of this game just bounces all over the place. You'll be in a 3D level and you'll have this awesome feeling of momentum, this progression, this flow that feels almost natural, like your brain is controlling the controller and you don't even notice you're pushing the buttons. But then it'll switch to a 2D view and all of a sudden that feeling of forward momentum, of speed, of pacing will come to a grinding halt. Even the physics will change in that 2D portion, and all of a sudden the game will feel completely different in the middle of a level. I do love classic Sonic's little foot stomp there, though he's definitely excited that he beat the level, and here comes modern Sonic in for you. But that is kind of the thing. Now that we're in Green Hill Zone, the sense of movement, the sense of speed, the joyfulness of the soundtrack, all make this a really awesome experience. Everything flows really well. When you're playing this game well, you feel like you're invincible. But Sega just seems to have to always put a mechanic in a game that doesn't fit, like they're shoehorning something in, like the Werehog, for instance. That game in particular has awesome 3D levels, but then all of a sudden you have a Werehog that's mostly a 3D beat-em-up game, and it is a very poor example of it. And that's where Sega seems to always trip itself up. Now we're in a 2D segment, and we are moving forward, and we still have decent speed, and we're still being pushed around. But sometimes these 2D segments slow down and become platforming with difficult jumps, and because of the physics, they just don't really feel that natural. But I'm able to go through this level from start to finish, and I am showing you the entire thing, and it just feels so graceful and smooth when you're doing it right. And that's what I absolutely love about Sonic Generations. And it does take a lot of cues from the classic games. They recreate a lot of levels in 2D and 3D. So from a nostalgia factor, this game has a ton of things that you're going to remember if you played the 2D games as a kid or some of the earlier 3D games. It really is a greatest hits of Sonic game. And from that perspective, absolutely, it's incredible. This fish coming up the trail here reminds me of the whale from Sonic Adventure, one of the most iconic memories of the Dreamcast, for me at least in particular. So Sega does a great job in that respect, but they just seem to, in spite of themselves, get in their own way and kind of slow down their own gameplay or kind of not be able to decide what a game really is. Like right here, we had all that great momentum and then we just run right into a wall. And there's no real visual indication that that wall is coming, same like here. By the time you get the homing attack icon, you're basically already in the wall, and there really isn't anything you can do about it unless you memorized the level and knew it was there. So they've artificially just slowed you down and killed your momentum when you had a really nice clip going. And right here, I trip on something, I don't even know it was there. So sometimes Sega can just somehow or another kill their own momentum, both in game design and both literally in the way Sonic moves. It just gets in the way of itself. But that is a small complaint, and I still do think this game is quite good. It is one of my favorite 3D Sonic games, that's why it's at number 5. And maybe you would think that it might be further up on the list because it is considered to be really good. And then I just took a hit there. That was my fault. I should have just hit the button. This right bumper, left bumper mechanic works quite well. But now we're at the end of that first 3D stage, and you get this colorful end result. I think all the graphics in this game still really hold up well, even though it is, a previous generation game on the 360. The soundtrack is absolutely awesome, and even the story is good. Watch the story a bit. I'll come back in just a second.
Thanks, Sonic. I thought I was dead, floating without a body in a black limbo. Ugh, I'm gonna have nightmares for weeks. Hey, Sonic, I saw something over there in the distance. Like buildings, but they look weird.
That might be a good place to check out. I'll be back soon.
Wow, you weren't kidding when you said soon. I thought you already left.
I do love that playfulness where Tails can't tell who modern Sonic and who classic Sonic is. And in another 3D stage right here, again, everything's moving really well. And I know some of the complaints of this game from people that I've read are that the game at times can feel a little bit on rails. And I do understand that because it has actual rails. But I mean, when you're having that forward momentum, the game is definitely controlling Sonic to a certain degree, even though I am bouncing off the side of that highway right there. So is it the most open controlled Sonic game ever? Definitely not. The 3D sections can feel like you're sometimes being controlled. But in this instance here, trying to avoid those mines, you have full control over it, and everything feels good. But now as we transition to the 2D plane again, we carry that momentum forward, and we're still moving fast, but we hit this wall here, and now we're underwater, which is a definite theme of Sonic the Hedgehog games. But I think what I wish Sonic Team would do with their 3D entries is just let them be purely 3D. Sonic Adventure, Sonic Adventure 2, those games were just 3D games. While I understand this was a celebration for Sonic and the 20th anniversary, I just wish Sonic Team would decide, are we making a 2D game or are we making a 3D game? Because when they try to combine both elements into one, it just doesn't feel right. You might enjoy one more than the other, and in my instance, I much more enjoy the 3D sections of this game to the 2D sections. So when the 2D comes in, all of a sudden I get a little less excited, I get a little more bored of it, and down here in the water where you just saw, it just slows the game down to a halt, where I want that fast-paced progression. I want to feel that speed. I want to have that Sonic the Hedgehog-like experience where he's just moving fast and feels almost invincible at speed, which is obviously his character trait. He goes fast. Gotta go fast. That's literally his tagline. So why does Sonic Team slow him down and make us kind of think a little bit more about what's going on? I mean, that mechanic can work in the Adventure series, Sonic Adventure 1 and 2. When you are moving slower and you are more exploring the areas around you, it feels natural. But in Generations, when they slow down the 3D stages, it starts to feel unnatural. And the game still does have its bugs. You will see there that my homing attacks just did not work. And now that we've been slowed down a little bit more in the 3D stages, the control breaks down and a lot of the fun breaks down. Now granted, this isn't anywhere near as buggy as some of the other 3D Sonic games Sega and Sonic Team have released. But you'll see here I get stuck on an invisible piece of geometry and it just kills the entire flow of the game. So this game, why it's number 5 is that when they do slow down the 3D portions, really all the fun breaks down and it just becomes a hard to control game. Combine that with the 2D elements that kill the flow of the game and really aren't as enjoyable. That's why I ended up putting this at number 5. Now that doesn't mean it's a bad game. I still love this game. I still play it from time to time. It's just not high up on the list of my favorite 3D Sonic games. So maybe on your list, it's really high up there. And that's why I make the joke at the beginning that this is 100% opinion based and subjective. This is just how I remember the games and how I enjoyed them. But short of that, that is Sonic Generations, an awesome game released on the Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3. If you haven't picked it up, I definitely recommend you do so. It is quite cheap. You can get it anywhere. It does have cheap deaths like you just saw there. I hit jump, but nothing worked. But we will be back on Sunday with another video, Tuesday in our mainline series, and we'll be back on Friday as well to talk about our number 4th pick in the 2D Sonic series. Short of that, thanks so much for watching. If you could do us a huge favor, go down below and hit like and subscribe. It takes a lot of time to make these episodes and really appreciate it. But we hope you enjoyed Sonic Generations, and we will see you next time. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.